I watched this movie with my mom, and she gave it a thumbs up and a pinky up. So that's
My mom listened to the first episode and said that it was surprisingly professional, which that was the
Oh.
highest praise we got.
There you go.
I've never been a fan of things.
This is not a horror movie.
Wait. You have never been a fan of Things?
No, like
That's true.
I don't want to get
We
into
know
the
that
plot
about
of the
her.
movie, but like
Oh yeah, we would hate to talk about the plot of the movie on a movie review podcast.
not in the beginning intro section.
All right. Hi, everybody. This is The Late Train. I'm Jonathan Ibanez.
I'm Michael Palmer.
I'm Anaki Rashid.
I'm Pear.
I'm Morgan Hutchison.
And our producer, as always.
I'm Elizabeth. Eh.
All right, cut out the hay.
Yeah.
Let's cut that.
Fine,
I
I'm
appreciate-
Elizabeth. There we go.
All right, there we go.
There you go.
So today we watched the original Little Shop of Horrors, picked out by Anaki, and she chose so well. This movie is so much fun.
Yeah, so not to be confused with the 1986 version, this is released September 14th, 1960.
And then recolored in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
I will say.
I didn't even know this movie existed. Like,
colored.
I didn't realize there was an original Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah, I always thought the original was the Broadway musical.
So did I.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was the
Yeah.
Broadway musical.
I've heard of this. I just never watched it.
I had seen it when I was very, very young, but I had forgotten
seen-
how funny it was for the time
I'd seen the
period.
80s one.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've seen the 80s one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I, loving the musical version, wanted to watch the
Original.
Genesis, you know?
Yeah.
And so
Babylon 5 of the
so
Little Shop of Horrors universe.
anyways, this movie is directed by Roger Corman, who is like a legend in Hollywood. He's known as the King of the Bees.
Mhm.
Makes a lot of those iconic, I think like Sharktopus is one of his big ones.
What?
He makes a lot of these just goofy, awesome movies.
So he was doing like the old school version of Sharknado.
basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Sharknado just is sort of like a take on his stuff, pretty much directly. I think they've even
Okay.
listed him as
I mean, they're
somewhat-
like the same style of movie of like just
But
low
Sharknado
budget.
is a little more like leaning into the absurdity, I would say. Even
It's self-aware.
Mhm.
well, these are definitely
Okay, yeah.
self-aware movies, but
Well, yeah, but there's some hilarity in being so heavy-handed that the movie is called Sharknado and it's about a tornado holding sharks, rather than this movie that is a carnivorous plant that has a lot of hilarious.
they're a little more
Okay.
clever and light
Mhm.
touch to these.
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
But yeah,
They're just
Roger
not as
Corman. Mhm.
Yeah.
The budget was I've seen like conflicting information about it, but it seems roughly around $30,000.
$30.
That's
I
a
wouldn't-
steal!
I wouldn't put it past Roger to make a movie for $30, but but it was $30,000, and box office was only around $25,000.
So sad.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, because it made so little money originally, that's why he never copyrighted it or like anything. He just released it to the public, and so a lot of like different versions of the movie have been released throughout.
That's
and
crazy.
that is kind of how it gained notoriety, though, of just like it was always played on TV, and so it didn't necessarily. It had a good reception, but it wasn't a huge hit right away.
Right.
Got it.
That makes sense, yeah.
It's kind of like
Yeah.
Lebowski in that sense.
Yeah. So it
Mhm.
just kind of gained kind of like a cult following that increased, and then when it turned into a musical and then was remade in the 80s, that's when it really got more attention and kind of grew beyond Corman's wildest dreams. But yeah, it's just a really quick, fun watch.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the characters here. 'Cause
Sure.
we got an interesting cast going on. But the first person we see is Mr. Mushnick, who, I'm going to be honest, I'm conflicted. I really like this character, but also I'm like, this is kind of racist.
Is
A little bit, yeah.
because against who?
It
They
would be
never say.
anti-Semitic
It's
because he's very
it's-
Jewish.
He's very Jewish
Yes.
and he has broken English, But
Yeah.
is there anything saying that Jews are this way or Jews are that way?
I would
that
say,
way?
as the resident Jew on the podcast,
Mhm.
my mom and I both found it absolutely hilarious.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
Okay.
that's what
Okay.
I thought.
do a lot of
He
Jewish
said, "What you gonna-"
stereotypes. Yeah, he's
That's
he's throwing
awesome.
Yiddish around.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Mrs. Shiva, which
Yeah.
there's a very deep layered Jew joke in there, but
Mhm.
we'll get to that.
Oh, really?
Well, I was gonna say that originally the movie had trouble being released, I guess, by the production company because they felt it was anti-Semitic. But the writer Charles B. Griffith is Jewish, and then Mel Wells, the actor of Mr. Mushnick, is Jewish as well. And they both like did it on purpose, like kind of did all that. Yeah.
It's very obvious.
There's kind of a history of that with like Jewish entertainers being self-referential and kind of, making
Absolutely. I literally fell
Yeah.
off the couch at one point
because it's great. It's a great
how
tradition.
much they was leaned into. Like I was actually rolling on the floor laughing.
Yeah, so that's
Okay, good. So now I feel okay about that. And he runs a flower store. He's the boss of our main character, Seymour. And who also works there is this girl named Audrey. And Audrey is basically there to look pretty.
She's
Yeah.
kind of a
I
one.
think she's one of the salesmen,
Well, yeah.
like a sales
To look
assistant,
pretty.
sort of.
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, you can kind of like all of the characters, they kind of just have one trait and that's it
Yeah.
throughout the whole
Yeah.
movie. And so I think Audrey is kind of like this aloof, just like, a really pretty and nice girl.
I don't think she's aloof. Like they get together seriously super quick.
But she's still, why wouldn't she be aloof still?
She's
Well, 'cause
like
she
aloof would be. I feel like she's just not. I feel like she's. I mean, the big thing with her, I would say her other character trait is she uses a lot of big words, and it's always wrong.
Always wrong.
Like who
Yeah,
could denounce
always.
it? And I'm trying to think. There's
I
so many
wrote
good
some.
ones. Yeah, do you want to read some?
I wrote some of the broken English too that I thought was really great.
Yeah. So hungry I could eat a hearse.
Oh yeah.
Give him a chance to resurrect himself. Find
Oh,
the youth of a
Caesarean
man. Oh yeah, Caesarean
Cesarean
salad.
salad,
Yep. Oh yeah.
which I think alludes to like a lot of this film is it's like there's crazy stuff, but then there's also like surprisingly subtle jokes that they just kind of gloss over really quick,
I really loved that.
Do we have any other characters to?
I mean, those are the three main ones.
Mrs. Shiva, who and
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, this is just
is so Shiva, by the way, means like the act. It's a Jewish act of mourning. It's what you do is you sit Shiva, and her
That makes
first name is
sense.
something like Sid or something. Like it's almost sit. So it's sitting Shiva is when you mourn for a period of about a week after the dead has been buried in their house. So the whole idea is like her character just keeps having dead relatives, and she goes and buys flowers for them because
every
she
day.
is always in Shiva.
Every single day. Yeah.
And that's literally like her name is just this super.
I've
That
heard of
makes
Shiva
sense.
and I didn't catch that, so that's really awesome, actually.
Yeah.
Did we?
it's-
What about his mom?
Oh, his mom.
His mom is
also-
His
great.
mom is awesome. The scenes
His mom
between
is-
him and his mom are great.
Yeah, because again, keeping with the trend of characters with one attribute, one trait, her trait is that she's psychosomatic
Yeah.
and she has everything in her head.
Mhm.
She's
Yeah.
basically an alcoholic
true, yeah.
hypochondriac.
Yeah.
Well, hey,
Yeah.
she's not an
Yeah, there you
alcoholic. She just really likes her 90% alcohol tonics.
98%.
98, yeah.
But like, damn.
That's like Everclear right there.
It's
And that's what I figured. That's why she pretends she's sick, right? It's because she
Mhm.
wants that alcohol.
Yeah.
well, no, because she also has like the tongue depressors and stuff, and there's some great interactions with her and the police later. But
Yeah, her character's
That
awesome.
whole dinner.
That
Yeah.
dinner
The
whole
scene
dinner
is
was
The
so
dinner
good.
scene is so
Yeah.
so yeah,
good.
her name was, by the way, Mrs. Shiva's name was City Shiva. Is
Oh,
literally
okay.
Shiva. Yeah.
All right.
I
So,
don't
I mean,
know
if there's
what
no
that
one else to get into, I mean, let's get into the plot a little bit. We all kind of know well, at least I knew going into it the basic idea.
Yeah.
Seymour works at this flower shop. He's down on his luck. He's not good at being a florist. But he finds this plant that a Japanese man sells him. It's very Gremlins. And this plant becomes very notable part of the shop because it's something different no one's seen before. Even though it's the ugliest plant I think I've ever seen. Like it does not look
Not
pretty.
very nice looking.
He does talk about later how he like apparently has been crossbreeding the plants at his house, and this is the
Yeah.
one that worked. Like it was
Yeah.
crossbreeding between.
It's
I don't remember what.
It's
but
different
one of them
from
was
the '80s version. 'Cause
Yeah, the
I think
80s one is like
an
80s
alien
version's an
or
alien,
something.
right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But this one is like he crossbreeds a it was a
Butterworth and
a Venus
Venus
flytrap.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And there's actually a lost joke here. So he says that he gets the seeds from a Japanese gardener who found it in a plantation next to a cranberry farm. And so I was just like, whatever, I guess that's a description. But apparently at the time, like there was this big, I guess you would call scandal, where cranberry crops were tainted with this herbicide called aminotriazole. And so like
Okay.
at that time, nobody was buying cranberries because they were scared of it. So that was like I don't know.
That's kind of awesome, honestly. I love that.
Yeah. So that's why they
Yeah.
put that joke in there. It's like,
All right.
Imagine being scared of cranberries.
mhm.
Imagine
I
being
feel like
scared
this
of
entire
Seymour.
movie was just
Or of Aubrey too. Audrey too.
this movie was just full of those meta jokes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm
absolutely.
sure
There's
a lot of them went over my
cultural
head.
references. Yeah.
I feel like every piece of dialogue has some kind of joke or like little
Yeah.
clever thing, pun, whatever in it.
Yeah.
So anyway, so he works at the shop, but he is a giant klutz.
Hmm.
Horrific. And we also meet the dentist briefly, who calls in to get some flowers for his lobby, and Seymour messes up the order bad.
Mhm.
And all you know is that this dentist seems to not like it when people mess up anything about him. He seems to be rather sadistic.
Yes.
Yes. Very much
And,
so.
but that doesn't come into late play until later.
Well, I mean, the guy is screaming in the chair as he's calling.
Yes, the guy is actually screaming trying to
that's
get
true.
up, but he's like
Yeah.
strapped in, and he
Yeah.
hates.
I
it.
didn't think it was possible to be a dentist, with reckless abandon, but this guy manages it. You know?
Yeah.
It's incredible. He's just like, "Am I the dentist or are you?" And then he just keeps drilling holes into people.
Yeah.
And so Seymour is threatened to be fired. However, a man comes into the plant store and starts eating the plants.
Yeah, eating the flowers.
Dick
Yeah, that
Miller.
was weird.
Mhm.
It's Dick Miller, and he
It's Dick
starts just,
Miller.
like using salt and he's seasoning them, and then he's just biting
He
down.
just eats it.
Oh,
He
just
actually
like it's
ate
for dinner.
flowers. The actor
No.
actually ate flowers for
I
this.
Did he
think-
really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
No way.
I think it's such a
Where have
hilarious
all
gag
the flowers
that this
gone?
weird character just gets introduced and he sets in motion and says, "Oh yeah, well you should put it on display and people will come to it." And
Well, he says
Huge
weird
success.
flower shops get customers, and
Yeah.
if you have weird flowers, display them, and that's why he tells like, okay, you have a week. That's why the Mr. Mushnick gives Seymour a week to figure out what to do with this and make this plan a success. Because if he successfully does that, then basically the idea is it'll attract customers.
right.
Yeah.
Which
And by
makes
the way,
sense.
this flower eating character, I thought it was just going to be like a one-off joke, but he's there the whole movie.
No,
And he just
It-
casually
Yeah,
is
he's
eating
there the
flowers
entire
every
movie.
single scene.
no, it's very Arrested Development where they just keep bringing back the same joke and it's hilarious.
Yeah, it always
Oh, yeah.
cracked me up. Like in the background, he'd just be with his salt shaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally no reason for him to be there. He's eating the flowers.
Dick Miller's sodium must have gone up so high.
Yeah. And by the
Oh,
way,
okay.
Course.
Dick Miller is also like a B-movie legend in his own right. And he works with Roger Corman all the time. And I'm going to mention the movie A Bucket of Blood pretty often. Because that movie they filmed right before this, and if you look at the plot, it's very, very similar, except for just like the method of killing is basically different. But he had just starred in A Bucket of Blood, which is also a Corman film, and he was offered the role of Seymour, but he was like, I just did the murdery plot, so I guess I'll be this guy who eats flowers in the background. And he said that like now he regrets it.
Why does he regret it? It was amazing.
Yeah,
It was
that's like the
amazing,
best
but
character.
he could have been the star basically. It was because Bucket of Blood,
Yeah.
no one really talks
But-
about. Little Shop of Horrors is like.
I do want to say the guy who did play Seymour, Jonathan Hayes, was really awesome. I
I loved him.
I
Yeah.
loved the acting in this movie. I think almost
Yes.
everyone did a great job.
I
Yeah.
thought it was gonna be. I was like, oh, this guy can't possibly compare to Rick Moranis, but he was really awesome. Jonathan Hayes was awesome as Seymour.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's still not Rick Moranis.
Well,
Rick
yeah,
Moranis
Rick
has a
Moranis.
special place
Yeah.
in my heart. But
It's hard. It's hard not to compare this to the 1986 version. But yeah, I
I
think
haven't seen the 86 one since I was like 10. Like, I don't really remember it.
Since
So this was
86?
pretty fun. Yeah, actually, yes.
That came out
was-
in the movie theaters.
I was a wee negative 24 years old.
Ah, that's
Or
a good. That's
negative-
a good year.
14, something like that. I don't know.
Well, remember,
do
you're
math.
not zero, right? So it's like AD and BC where you never hit zero, so you have to like subtract one.
Well, I mean, theoretically, you're zero when you're born. That's zero.
all right.
I
You
Anyway,
guess
turn
you're
one
right.
a year after.
Negative one. You're right.
There's
You're right.
definitely a zero.
In this 3 levels of hypothetical, I was wrong. You're right.
So we need to solve this.
All right.
No, we solved it. We're good.
I think we solved it. If anyone has a better solution, go ahead and write in. So
That would be
we
awesome.
soon find out that
Seymour's a stone.
Audrey, which
killer.
is the name of the plant, Audrey Jr., because it's named after Audrey the flower girl, florist. That's the word for that.
Mhm.
Eats blood, the plant.
Yes.
Yeah, he pricks
Or
himself.
cuts
on a
himself.
cactus. Yeah.
Yep. And he like puts his hand over the plant, and the plant goes nuts. And so he's like, "Oh, you eat." And I think this is the point where we learn the plant can talk.
The
no,
plant
I think
can
that's
talk.
a bit later.
Not yet.
I think it
Oh,
was
okay.
Comes the next day. Yeah.
requires more
Yeah.
food before he can talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
but he
Basically, he
notices.
pricks all of his fingers. Yeah, he pricks all of his fingers to feed this plant. And then he comes back the next day and finds that his plant is bigger.
Yeah.
And not only is it still the ugliest plant, I love how, because we eventually find out that the plant can talk. And I love how the puppeteers just didn't care. Like, the plant puppet does not match what it's saying at all.
Oh yeah, I know.
Did
Yeah,
Well, I
anyone
don't
no,
think it's.
it's
I
way
don't
off.
think it's.
I think it's after the fact. So they have I think back then you would have a puppet guy going like this, and then after the fact you would have somebody record over it.
I also think it's part. I
Ah.
also think it's partially the idea that like there's something supposed to be almost telepathic to his ability, like considering the hypnosis
Oh.
that we see later. I think the idea is.
Oh,
that
yeah.
he
But it's not
has-
just Seymour who hears him, right? Because Mushnick also hears him.
Right. Yeah. When Mushnick is saying, but Mushnick, I don't think hears it until he's alone with the plant. I don't
Yeah.
think
That's true.
overhears. So I think the idea is that there's something slightly like supernatural sort of going on, which is why the 80s version making it an alien made so much sense.
hmm
Yeah, that's true.
I will say, so Charles B. Griffith, the screenwriter, he also does a ton of like little roles here and there. And then his family is a big part of this too. Like his dad plays one of the dentist patients, and then his grandma is the hypochondriac mom.
Oh.
And and Charles B. Griffith is also the robber who comes in later.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's him?
Yeah, that's him.
Wow.
But he's also the voice of Audrey Jr.
I was wondering because I couldn't figure that out. Yeah.
Yeah, so they were gonna dub the lines in
Really
with
gone.
a different actor later, but for reference for the actors on set, he would just go, feed me. And
they
everyone
kept it.
just, they all laughed so hard because of him and Roger Corman is famously cheap, so he was like, might as well just keep the.
Elizabeth, are you making dinner?
Yes, she is.
Yeah, she is.
And we can't really hear
Heck
you.
yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm sorry. What do you want me to say?
No, it's fine.
Wait, hold on. I just gotta clear my
What do
microphone.
you-
Oh, yeah.
Wait, can you hear me now? Wait, because I'm not 100% sure you can hear me.
Much better.
I don't know. Hold on. Speak a little louder.
Okay, let me just like. Anyway, what part of the plot are we in?
So,
Oh, the one where you make dinner.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a friend. It's
That's
one of my
where we were.
favorite Friends episodes.
I mean, first day he pricks his fingers, feeds him
Yeah.
blood.
And then we get to the second night. That's where I drew the line. And
You
then it's
couldn't
where, like,
handle it?
oh my gosh, I just don't do well with like
Murder.
Plants.
Movies.
Rubber limbs.
No, I don't
Acting.
do okay. With like lines and
Technology.
the whole like sequence of like
People.
scenes getting cut together, like
I have
What?
no idea
Editing?
what you're talking about.
Editing?
I just hate movies, you know? Like I just like
Why are you playing
it's just like what's the point of movies? What's the point of
That's like the wrong podcast for you.
You absolutely need to go join some, like, I don't even know, some archaeology podcast or something.
Jonathan, when I need him most, where's the other podcast ideas? That's where he's supposed to be here.
Well, that's
Wait.
not for
What
now.
happened, what happened to Jonathan? Where is he?
He's
That's
gone.
what I'm
He's
saying.
dead.
That's what I'm
Hey,
saying.
I-
Audrey,
Really?
in your age.
I'm joking. Okay, number one. It was like I don't like
Movies.
no, Michael.
Yeah, you know.
In general.
Editing.
Okay, I don't like the removal of
People.
limbs to feed other things. Like
That's so specific.
You just went
So
from
specific.
I don't like
Is there a name
things
for that?
to I don't like limb removal. You went from one very, very general end all the way to about as specific as you can. Like, what do
okay,
you
I was
Yeah.
joking. I love movies. I'm just
Elizabeth, it
that?
sounds like
Are you sure?
have apotemenophobia.
Oh, look at that.
what's
All
the
right.
removal of limbs and then feeding
Yeah.
it to other things. Like
Not the feeding.
I don't think
part.
it's the feeding part.
So
But
so
the
if they
feeding part's
chopped
just
off
the
the
scary in
hand,
general.
it's all good. But as soon as they put it into the mouth of the little plant,
it's
that's
like the whole
that's
thing.
no,
like,
that's too
what-
much.
I hate
That's
like
what gets
removing. Okay, like there's so many movies that I've seen like them like chopping off like body parts, and I'm like, please don't. Like
Yeah,
keep it all
because how else are you
together.
going
Like
to get rid of the
Star
evidence?
Wars? Like what movies?
Yeah,
Tucker and Dale versus Evil?
Yeah.
no, there's this one like
that was a good one.
It's I think it's called The Illusionist. It's with like Jessica Biel, I think, and
What
like
year is it?
it's like what I don't know, like 2008.
We're so far off track that the railroad is currently like running through the streets of LA killing people.
Okay,
Uh,
anyway, no.
Which
But but my thing is that like you know like
Boy.
it's like the removal of like body parts for no reason.
What do you mean no
Well, it's for-
reason?
it's
The
for
plant's not
transportation.
Yeah, defeat it.
plant's
Is it-
not big enough to eat the whole thing.
Can I just
Yeah.
ask a
do you
question?
eat your cows whole, Elizabeth?
Elizabeth, would you prefer you put the whole cow on a spit and then you just got to like
I meant like human bodies, like
Corn on
human
the cob.
bodies,
Oh, okay. So
But-
now
but-
you're being
Specifically, like-
speciesist.
human bodies. Like I
But again,
eat cow, I
say-
eat beef. No wait, that's the same thing. No wait, I eat chicken.
Elizabeth. It's less of an issue. I would be more worried if you said you enjoyed the process of removing human limbs. Okay, I feel like it's pretty
So endlessly
universal that
fascinating.
none of us
but
enjoy.
I liked how she added for no reason on the end.
Yeah.
There's often a
like-
reason.
It's like,
Like,
yeah,
if there's a reason, you'd be
Yeah.
fine.
like if it's 127 hours scenario.
That's not what. Yeah,
You'd be
see?
fine.
Logical. Like, it had to happen.
Okay,
had
so
to get
here's a
out.
question, Elizabeth. So there's a trolley going down a track, and there's
Oh
a person
God.
on it,
No.
or you can pull a lever and it takes one person's arm off.
Yeah,
What do
that's
you
no
do?
reason.
Obviously, I would choose the arm, but still, like,
What if it's
I-
your
What
arm?
if the arm was your
What if
mom?
it's your arm?
Oh, yeah.
I like that.
my mom would be gladly to remove her
Your
arm
arm.
for,
No,
for
but your
3
arm.
other people's lives.
Your arm.
My arm?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think you got her with that one.
I
And
think
you have to-
I
you have to
you're,
hold it.
I would still remove my arm for other people's lives.
What if
if
it was
only one person?
Nice,
What if it
Jonathan.
was their arm?
No, stop.
What
What if it was
one
somebody's
person's
leg
life or
or
you
your
lost an arm?
finger?
Okay,
If it
so
was
this
one
guy
person-
has a gangrenous leg, and you have to saw it off in the Civil War,
What?
Can you?
or else he'll die a horrible death. So you have to saw it off. Do you do it?
These are totally irrelevant.
Talk about a little
they're
shop of
not.
horrors.
This is just
So-
ridiculous. These are like random situations that don't even like relate to anything. And
What do
don't
you
even-
mean?
I
You
heard
absolutely do.
you brought this up.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
this is your
sorry
thing.
that I'm sorry that I don't like agree with the fact of like murdering people and then feeding the limbs to a plant is like
I'm sorry, that's
He's not
not what you had a
endorsing it.
problem with.
He's not endorsing it. He's not saying this is what you should. You should really start fertilizing your plants with human bodies.
To be
Well, see,
fair,
it's not for no
I-
reason.
great source of iron. There's there's a liquid content.
No, it is good. It is. It would honestly be
Yeah.
amazing. It would be amazing.
That's
But,
what I
like-
call
Well,
the
it's not
human
for no
resource
reason
department.
because, you're trying to bring in
okay,
customers.
my thing is
Yeah.
why
He wants to
why
become the
did not
bloom tycoon.
why
Yeah.
did Seymour not just leave? And why did he actually have to feed the plant? You know, why couldn't he
Because
just
the
leave
plant
and let
Because he wanted to keep his
dead.
job.
And he wanted his job. And he wanted Audrey.
What if your
that
livelihood
too.
depended on chopping someone's leg off?
There we go.
Okay. I'm gonna still stay.
Would you do it?
My livelihood?
Yeah.
Yes. You were gonna die if you didn't chop someone's leg off.
I'll die.
Damn.
Wait. Would you rather die or have to chop your own leg off?
Ooh,
I would
that's a good
rather
point.
die.
Yeah.
You'd rather die?
That's a horrible answer.
Okay, well that depends. Like, am I
Wow.
coked up or is it like full on no
Any drugs you have in the house, you can use.
Yeah, just
I
chug
mean,
some
I
Tylenol.
could get good and drunk. It wouldn't be
But
as
my
bad.
thing is, like, I
Back to
just
heroin.
don't see the point in me living.
Anaki's face.
Without a leg, you
No.
still have the other one.
And we're not
I
saying
hope
making
that
you a
no one
paraplegic.
disabled listens to this podcast.
They don't
Oh,
anymore.
So,
For me personally, like, I don't ever see myself cutting off my own body part. I would need someone else to do it with a really high amount of drugs in my system.
But you're
But
saying
What if
me
there was no
personally, cutting off my own leg, I would rather die.
Drugs are
if
illegal.
it's like a
your point is,
127
if you're
hours
disabled,
situation.
you
That's what I
should
said.
No,
We already
I
did that.
would
You said
rather die if I had to cut off my own body part.
What about
I would rather
just
die. If it was
just a
my
foot.
finger, I would rather die.
your finger?
Really?
people
Your
do
pinky?
that
What
for
about your-
You
initiation.
can bite your finger off like a carrot, Liz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arr.
If I did,
I still have
imagine if
all
on
kinds of
air
things.
I just did
Just
that.
does that on camera, yeah.
We did it at the same time.
I know we both.
Wait,
Just imagine one of us actually did it. Elizabeth dies.
you bleeds out.
Oh my god.
For
Okay,
no reason.
this is the reason why I'll never be a doctor. This is the reason why I'll never, like, I could never be anything where I see
Productive
blood.
member of society.
Like, I'm sorry.
Should we say that on the first day after people start coming into the shop and he starts getting
Yeah, because the plant got bigger a
yeah,
little bit.
people start kind of trimming it, and there's these two girls that are real thirsty for Seymour.
Oh no, I love that. I love
That-
how Seymour
They're
is such a
high
dude,
crazy.
and then all the ladies just
Love him.
And they're
High
Okay.
schoolers too, yeah.
I love the
ladies
little
of
jokes.
That's nice.
ladies of the late train crew. If
Yes.
there was a boy who you were not attracted to, and he made an Audrey 2,
Yes.
would you be attracted to him?
Yes.
No.
Really?
No.
It's a turn on.
No.
I get where Naki's coming from.
I get where now he's coming
Where
from.
I just don't understand this.
It's a vaguely egg-shaped plant,
First of all, I thought Seymour
It's
was
erotic.
adorable.
I guess.
It's
So
adorable.
cute.
Really.
Okay, but my thing, Anaki, is I would never date adorable.
Yes, I would.
What?
I couldn't.
What? You never date adorable?
Oh,
that's
that's
just
just-
wrong. Adorable is
that's
like one of the
shallow.
things you look for.
I date only adorable. Because hot is like dangerous, you know?
But I don't want hot. I want,
We're
like,
playing with fire.
We are the most sexist, anti-Semitic, speciest, anti-disabled. Like we just
I'm saying
Conversation is just done.
that's not a
Killing our
certain type of
audience.
person.
okay,
If you're
can I just-
hot, don't listen to this podcast.
we
Shaming.
learned from
We
Tron.
don't want any
Hair hates sexy people.
I
Yeah, Pear
don't
hates
want-
sexy
Make me feel
people.
bad.
Forgot about that.
Okay, can I just state that I'm not looking for sexy either or like hot. I'm looking for mediocre. Here we go.
Mediocre?
Seymour!
Mediocre.
That is Seymour.
No,
That is
I
Seymour.
want
He is
Seymour.
mediocre.
I
don't
love
want-
Seymour.
He's like the
okay?
I don't want
definition.
Seymour. What?
I
So-
should have Seymour as
Okay.
my picture.
We have to keep this podcast up forever because we need to show this to Elizabeth's husband in the future. To show him that she's attracted to him because he is
He is mediocre. Just play
And
the
it's
clip of that
Jonathan
at his
Hayes'
wedding.
great grandson.
I want to find a man who's mediocre. It's going to be played at your wedding.
Yeah, that's a done deal.
I
Hey.
don't want a successful
Wait,
man.
wait,
I want a
hold
man
on.
who
Are you
makes me
saying that
look good.
What says that you guys are gonna be invited to my wedding?
Oh, we won't care. We'll crash it and then
Wait,
see
play
wedding
that
crashes,
clip.
I'm sorry,
right?
Anaki will always be invited. I'm so sorry.
Naki, I'll give you.
Michael, you are not invited.
That's fine.
Michael, we'll just be wedding crashers. It's okay.
Yeah,
No,
Morgan and I
you're
will.
invited.
Oh, it's just me. That's fine.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Harry,
okay.
you're invited.
I'm invited?
Yeah.
Awesome.
You were my
Thanks.
scene partner, of course.
Oh, that's
Michael, you have never been my scene partner. And for
That's
good
true.
reason. And for very good reason. I don't think
Yeah,
we would-
because our acting teachers have basically been like, we put these two together and the whole building is probably going to melt.
it probably will.
Pretty much.
but it's fine.
The girls, so they come in and they have $2,000, and they're like, unfortunately, it's not our money. It's the high school's money that we need for flowers. And Mashik's like, why don't you just get flowers here? And they're like, if you can make Audrey Jr., I guess you can
make enough
flowers.
regular roses and carnations.
And so that's why Mashik's like, wow, this is really working. But then right away, they see that the plant starts dying. So then he's freaking out. Seymour's freaking out because now he doesn't know what to do. Night comes again.
Oh, here we go. I got my part finally. Okay. Night 2 happens. And Audrey Jr. is wanting to be fed again. And he's like, I can't give you any more blood from me. Yeah.
But you're missing the, I'm already anemic.
Oh yeah, I'm already anemic. I can't give any more blood.
Okay. And then
he doesn't start talking right away. He's like, I guess I'll just go on a walk to try and figure out like what to do to get you.
He ends up next to a train track.
Oh yeah, late train.
Yo, there's a late train.
Oh yeah.
Late at night.
And the train
Pretty late.
I
shows
didn't
up.
catch that.
Late.
I thought you were trying to prove something.
I have an idea, guys. I think we should have like a call that we do every time a train shows up in the movie, and we do that part of the summary, and we do like a little train chant or something.
Oh, we'll just get a train whistle.
Chugga, 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 chugga.
Only train movies.
Chugga,
Only
chugga,
movies
chugga.
that have trains appearing in them.
Oh my god.
No.
The late train
What?
train.
Wait, no, we know what we should do as a spin-off or a premium episode?
Good
Oh
episode.
no.
We should do train movies.
Oh, we should.
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
Snowpiercer. We could totally do
Yo,
Snowpiercer.
I
It's one of my
love
favorite
Bang
Snowpiercer.
Bang.
So anyway,
You guys think there's a TV show of Snowpiercer coming out?
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
but I'm not
TNT.
a big
Oh,
fan of
TNT
TV
though.
shows.
TNT though. I don't know about
That's
that.
not. Some of the Hogwarts, some of the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah.
Some trains.
Yeah,
Maybe
okay.
like the James Bond movie,
Engine.
Skyfall.
But guys, we have our chant has to be each of us is in charge of a different train sound. So like one will be chugga chugga chugga, and the other one will go and then I don't know what else.
Everyone's like,
I don't know if there's any other
guys,
like,
I will
train
research
sounds.
train sounds.
the brakes, I guess.
Guys,
One
this
person
is
does the Wilhelm scream.
Wait, I can't do a Wilhelm. Sorry. I tried.
okay.
I can't do well.
This is me as the producer. I
Yeah.
shall research about train sounds. And I shall assign a random one for to all of you.
Jonathan,
What
that's like a
seems
bird call.
fits your personality.
Done. But anyway, so this scene
Alright.
cracked me up to no end. I love this scene so much because he's throwing rocks because he's angry and like just confused, and he gets this rock. There's a bottle that he's throwing at, and this guy just pops up and he's like, huh?
I loved that. I loved that so
Shows
much.
up out of nowhere.
And then
Not only
obviously
do
he accidentally hits him on the head.
Which
Yeah, Jonathan.
starts a long
Accidentally.
sequence of him killing people with rocks
Yeah,
on accident.
just accidentally.
Accidentally, I
Well,
just
my
killed-
favorite part about this guy is not that he just showed up and got his, I got my head hit. He also falls back, like
And then
walking
hits-
back like 8 feet to get on the train track.
Yeah.
This is literally
He's
me.
dazed.
This is who I am as a character in this entire
Yeah.
movie.
It was like the longest stumbling sequence ever.
And he falls on the train tracks, and then obviously the train runs him over. Which
Choo-choo!
they filmed all of the exterior shots just by bribing everyone with alcohol to let them shoot there.
That's awesome.
Apparently.
Different times. Different
Yeah.
times.
And they had the actors stand there and had the train, they persuaded them, they didn't want to do it, but the train crew drove the train away from the actor, and then they just rewinded it in post-production.
I see.
That actually is pretty common with old stunts, like in
Yeah.
especially
Yeah, that's clever. That's clever. Actually.
Yeah, that's true.
or like falls and things, or like they do a lot of that stuff.
But he gets run over and apparently
s-
turns into body parts just
he breaks apart like he's like one of those, like that puzzle guy, like one from the stained glass, that early CGI. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where
Mhm.
he like breaks into a bunch of different pieces.
Yeah. And Seymour picks them all up, and they have like this kind of weird sequence of him basically trying to hide the body.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
random
Yeah.
places.
And he's like looking in
Successfully.
different trash cans. like
Yeah.
people's backyards.
Yeah.
And so he finally goes back to the flower shop and says, well, maybe I can get a little use out of this. And then Seymour eats. Apparently, he's, by the way, at this point, maybe a foot long, eats the whole person.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty awesome.
And
Well, to be fair, he was in pieces.
Mr. Mushnick sees this, but doesn't say anything.
Well, this is the first
okay.
time you hear
A whole different
Audrey
thing
talk.
happening.
Yeah. So Audrey, he's like talking about how he became a murderer, and Audrey's like, "That looks like a bag of food to me," and and so he starts feeding him body parts, which was like shockingly graphic to me. Like when he squeezed the meat out of the
That is what I'm saying.
I saw that.
This is what I'm
It was
saying.
funny.
Literally, I sat there and I was like, "You freaking kidding me right now?"
I mean, it was
It's 1960, Elizabeth. It's so rubbery. It's so.
it's
I mean,
clearly
like-
fake, but it's gross.
Okay, it's obvious. It looks so fake, but like just like the way the blood was
Or, like-
on the end of the end of the hand,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I feel gross right now. I'm watching this plant be like, yum 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 yum. I was so disturbed.
In like a weirdly stylistic way, like Audrey eating cuts to Mushnick eating, which grossed me out. I
That
don't
was
know.
funny to me. I was
Yeah,
laughing.
It was like a whole thing because he's eating salad and the
Caesarean
Mhm.
salad.
the plant is eating meat, right? So it's like the
Yeah.
opposite. It's a
Yeah.
spoil, right?
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
my stomach feels so gross right now as we're talking about this, and I have to go eat dinner after this.
So
It
do I.
feels so gross.
The hand that they used was so fake, though,
I'm
because I
eating train
swear.
inspector for
Yeah.
dinner tonight.
Wait, Morgan, what were you saying?
Oh, I said that whole hand was so fake. Like, I swear when they squeezed it, like, there was just a steak that fell out of it.
I'm eating.
I was like, all
gizzard.
right, that's fair.
I'm eating train inspector for dinner tonight, so I'm just building up my
Ooh.
appetite.
What is it?
Train inspector.
Was he
I don't know what
grass
that
fed?
is.
Grass? No, unfortunately not. He had a
Free
kind of
range?
diet. No, not that either. We had him locked up for like 2 whole months first.
Oh,
Oh dang!
Oh yeah.
yikes.
What
happens.
is it?
Train inspector. It's for dinner.
It's a modest proposal that he has for dinner.
Yeah.
My mom's working on it upstairs.
Yeah.
Liz.
God, I'm so confused. I don't know what's happening anymore.
Let's just move on. Just move on.
Because Audrey ate the train inspector.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. It's not.
So it's like a.
Okay,
It was-
okay. Anyway,
think
the
It
next
took
day,
so long for her to get.
You think he's just a random guy, but the detectives later allude to him being the railroad detective.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
like
which
a railroad
apparently-
detective.
Thing.
And I feel like that might have been a
That's the thing,
joke. 'Cause,
It's for sure. It
the
has to be.
railroad,
Oh, yeah.
like inspector, railroad detective. They're like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, a special detective from the railroad.
Yeah.
I think it's based on the whole like stopping vagrants from sleeping in the cars at night kind of thing.
Maybe.
but
Yeah.
just went further to make it kind of over the top.
Honestly, at the times, it's totally possible that they had a section of the police force. It's like, hey, you gotta go get homeless people outside of the train tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So okay,
Train
moving on. So the at this point, Mr. Mushnick is like it has this weird conversation with Seymour where he keeps kind of alluding to being fed, but he's like, "How many more times is he gonna have to be fed?" He's like, "Well, probably never."
Yeah.
But at the
Yeah, they
same
say it's
time,
like 3 times total, I think.
yeah, but that
Yeah.
becomes very clearly not true
Mm-hmm.
very soon. And so
Oh,
he
yeah.
says, like the last time, he's like, "Oh, I fed him 1,000." It was like 1,000 Japanese beetles or something like
Yeah.
that. It was
Yeah,
like-
Japanese beetles.
yeah.
And just to give a bit of context, so Mushnick found out because he was eating dinner and he found out he lost or forgot his wallet, and so he was like, "Fine, I'll go back and get it," which is when he sees Seymour feeding Audrey. By the way, while singing "Deck the Halls,"
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
It's
that,
so
Guys,
creepy.
tis the season to be
Ruby
jolly.
Jolly, fa la la la, and he's crying, and
Yeah.
it's so funny.
I want to do that scene. Like, I honestly, genuinely think it'd be so funny to do.
that made me
You filmed
understand
it. I'll
Mushnick
put
a
it in
lot
the
better, though.
episode.
Okay, if I'm not going to, but
Oh.
I'm leaving tomorrow for the weekend, so it'll be a bit. Okay, so at the time, by the way, Seymour is sent to the dentist because he's got a toothache.
Mhm.
And you see the dentist basically is so mean. He breaks a mirror in the guy's mouth, and then when he says, "You broke the mirror in my mouth," he's like, "Well, be a good boy, swallow it." And then like he's like, "I only need the one tooth." Oh, he's like, "Yeah, but you're the one that ruined my flowers, right?" He's like, "Yeah, I guess." He's like, "Yeah, all of these 4 teeth need to come out." And like it just keeps like escalating in terms of pain, and finally he basically just tries to stab him, and so the other guy, the Seymour, defends himself with a scalpel and kills the dentist.
Okay, I
Yeah,
want to
Dr.
also
Farb.
say this. Wait, what did you just say, Pear?
It's just the doctor's name, Dr. Farb.
Okay,
Dr. Farb,
this
yeah.
brought me back. I don't know why, but like it made me think of, oh my gosh, what was it called? That movie.
Have you murdered somebody?
No, it's like the barber of like Wall.
Sweeney Todd?
Sweeney Todd.
Sweeney Todd, yes.
Barbara Fleet Street.
Yes, I don't know why, but it gave me such vibes. Even though it was a dentist, like I was like just the chair and like,
Oh, absolutely vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I was like, I remember I
Absolute
couldn't
vibes.
look, and I was like, I can't do this.
At this point, Jack Nicholson walks into the.
Yeah, he's so great.
walks
He's
into
so
the-
Jack Nicholson. He's
I-
so Jack Nicholson.
I don't know what his character's name is because his character is Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
He walks into the dentist waiting room and he is. He's like, "Is this the right place?" And he finds a magazine called Pain, and he's like, "It is, it is." And he's super excited. He's a super, like masochistic patient.
Mhm.
And basically, like the Seymour just says he's the dentist, but has no clue what he's doing, and this causes the patient Nicholson to be very excited because she basically just destroys this guy's mouth, and he opens it, and there's just blood gushing from his mouth.
Well, he's the Undertaker, right?
Is
Yeah.
he? Oh,
Because he was talking. Yeah, he talks about the old
kind of
lady,
adds to being
like her
creepy.
family members that she just has
Mhm.
a ton of.
yeah.
Miss
Yeah, help her
Shiva
out all
is
the
the
time.
one who
Recommended him.
recommended him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jack
and sorry.
just he does such a good job being
He's
such a
so
creep.
creepy.
He's-
It's because Jack Nicholson is creepy.
Jack Nicholson's
that's
like
true.
one of my favorite.
I love him.
All time.
Oh my god.
He's so good.
Seriously, might be
Yeah.
my favorite actor of all time.
And this honestly, like, this was almost more enjoyable than like The Shining in terms of his performance.
Okay.
Like, I don't know why.
yeah,
but
I
there's just
don't
something
want to go
about-
that far.
There's something about his performance as this character that just like was completely perfect. Like, I don't know why. I just
So-
found this character deeply funny.
This is his third film ever that he's ever
Yeah,
done. So he
and
was
the
in-
other two were like minor things in the year
Well,
before, right?
yeah, so he early in his career he worked a lot with Corman. Oh my god. And before this he was the lead in one of Corman's films, which is like Crybaby Killer or something.
Mhm.
Irrelevant. But apparently Corman didn't even want Nicholson in this movie, so Jack was like, I guess I should just make myself be like extra weird to try and make Roger laugh so that he'll
Right.
like me now, which I think he achieved. And
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just
great success.
because this was released so much as home videos, and then obviously Jack became a legend, whatever.
Mhm.
Whatever.
All of the home video covers, and Jonathan, I will send them to you if you can edit them in here for the YouTube
Okay.
version. But they are all of Jack like holding the plant, and like there's even one where he's the Shining image is like on the cover of Little Shop of Horrors.
That's
And, like,
so hilarious because he's such a tiny minor. He's in the movie for
Oh,
like
yeah.
3 minutes.
his
Yeah.
character is
Well-
so irrelevant. It's just like this
So
gag.
it's so creepy guy who loves getting his teeth pulled. It
Loves
was-
pain in
Yeah.
general.
So
So-
somebody tries to rob the store. Mushnick, in self-defense, after saying "I'm not going to feed you," feeds the guy to the plant because he kind of has no choice.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that-
He kind of
This is
tricks
after
him. He
Mushnick
tricks him
spends
into
the
he's
night
like the money's
watching
in
the
the plant.
Yeah.
He says
Yeah.
the money's in the
Yeah.
bottom of the plant. But he also like
And
would have
then-
died otherwise.
Seymour then feeds a hooker to the plant.
But the cops start investigating at this point.
Basically, what happens is Seymour, because of Audrey, gets wins an award from the Silent Flower Observers Club of Southern California,
Yeah.
and which is the whole thing. And they say, when is it gonna bloom? And he says, well, when I read in my book, it'll bloom in 2 days. So like, sweet, in 2 days, we're gonna bring the prize to you, and you're gonna and at this point, the thirsty girls get extremely thirsty because
Oh, yeah.
what's
They're
hotter than
on
winning an
him.
award. They are they're way on him.
So the flowers open up
Yeah.
with everyone there, including the cops, and on each flower is the face of one of the victims.
Which looks nothing like the victims, by the way.
It's a horrible look.
They had to get a painter. It was 19. Maybe he did it himself. Maybe he painted it himself.
Got his grandma to paint it, probably knowing all of the family that was in this film.
Yeah, it was probably his aunt's like third grade or his niece's third grade art project.
Yeah.
And then the detectives are like, are those like the people that are missing? And they're like, those are the exact people. And I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah,
And
because
then
they
there's a
recognize
chase
the
scene.
detective.
Pretty much what happens is that Seymour eludes the cops until morning, and he goes back to the flower shop, and the plant is saying, feed me more. And so he said, yeah, I'll feed you something. So he grabs a knife, and instead of stabbing the guy, he literally jumps into the mouth and gets eaten. So
literally
good
just
job,
kills
Seymour.
himself.
Yeah, even though we've
plant.
seen Seymour at this point spit out a gun and be fine, and yet he's like, I have this little knife, then I'll successfully kill him.
When you say little knife, it was like at least like 5
It was
inches.
somewhere between an inch and 8 inches.
But relative to the plant,
That's true.
Well,
it was like as big as a
like a-
bear.
Also, jumping
That's
into the
true.
maw of the plant is what was so hilarious to me. I thought he would kind of stab it, but it was like, I'm going to
Remember, he
climb
had
into your mouth.
Well,
He had
it's
the
like
hard shell.
It's like Men in
what was
Black.
the quote?
With the
It's like Guardians of the
cockroach.
Galaxies, right? It's
Oh,
softer
come
from
on.
the inside.
No, come on, go older, man. Vincent D'Onofrio in Men in Black, where they where Agent K jumps in and shoots the cockroach monster from the inside.
Okay.
So yeah, the movie ends with Seymour dying because he basically commits suicide into the plant, and everyone's slightly sad.
I mean, they see his face,
They see
the
his
flowers
face.
bloom,
Yeah.
and he goes,
even
I
says,
didn't mean it.
Yeah, I didn't mean
And
it.
it looks like the exact same face as the other faces, but that's okay because we're told
No,
it's
that one
Seymour.
looked a
So
little-
it is Seymour.
I think that one looks a little more like Seymour than.
I mean, you can only do so much with 30,000, I guess, right?
Yeah. It looks like from what I've seen in all the interviews, this movie was made as an experiment. They shot it in 2 days. It's famously shot in 2
Are you
days.
serious?
No, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
That's
impressive.
insane.
That is
And-
incredible.
And that's why there's
No,
not
that
really much cinematography. It's like very sitcom-y style.
Yeah.
Okay,
they just-
yeah.
That
so
makes a lot more
after-
sense now, though.
Yeah.
They must have
After
had
a bucket
12-hour
of blood,
shifts.
it was just straight going through the whole thing. But after a bucket of blood, they just had this really nice set around, and Roger Corman didn't want to like let it go to waste, and so he and Charles B. Griffith had been working on this idea about a man-eating plant, and he was like, we have a couple of days and this is a really nice set that we'll have for free, so let's just try and pump it out. There are just so many fun little tidbits about like the production of this movie and how they cut corners, and it seems like everyone just had a ton of fun.
Go ahead and get to our ratings.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Count of 3. Everyone have it in mind?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, me and Jonathan are the same.
Hey, look at that.
There's
This is a very
okay.
good movie.
There's a pinky, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 thumbs. 8 thumbs up and a pinky. No
Oh, that's pretty good.
down of any
No
kind.
thumbs down. Wow.
Is that a first for
Are you
us?
kidding
That's
me right now?
definitely a
Are you
first.
serious?
This is our highest rated
You
Oh
movie.
my
just don't
No.
appreciate
By
good
far.
cinema. Honestly, you just don't appreciate good cinema.
Air is throwing
Ooh.
down right now.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Late Train. We hope you liked it. If you'd like to help us out, the best thing you can do is to share this show with your friends who you think might like it, get them listening. And if you'd like to get a hold of us, you can do that at thelatetrainpodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to watch along with us next week, we are watching Patton. Have a good one. See you next time.